Hello, stampers and fellow paper crafters. It's Cindy Lynn with my Inkie Fingers. Thank you so much for visiting me on my YouTube channel and blog. Today is all about splatter and shimmer and getting more glitter in our life. Now, I'm going to be doing a video very soon, and I know that everybody's going to want to know how I made this shimmer, and I've been asked before how I make my splatter, so I'm going to show you guys today. So what you're going to need is some rubbing alcohol. I use 70%, and I have some heat protectant spray. Now, this is for your hair. You spray it on before you heat flatten it or curl it or whatnot. I have to be honest, I've had this bottle for 10 years. I mean, it's getting down to maybe about down here, so I'm going to have to replace it. Pantene probably doesn't even sell this particular makeup anymore, but I am going to let you guys know what I do find, because I find that the heat protectant spray doesn't gum up when I'm using a spray bottle like hairspray does. So the heat protectant spray, any brand should work, but I have used the Pantene. And then I've got my spray bottle of our Stampin Up Frost White all-purpose ink. I've got a mixture of the champagne mist. So I've got a few mixtures here, and I'm going to show you guys how I made them, and I'm going to show you what they look like. So one of the things I do a lot is with my spritzer bottle. Now this here is heat protectant spray and about 10 drops of this all-purpose Frost White ink. And you'll want to shake this up really good. There's a ball in there just to get the mica moving around. And then fill your little spritzer up about halfway, put your 10 drops in, shake it all up, and then fill it to about 3/4. You don't want to go too close to the top, because when you put this in, this mechanism's rather big and it'll overflow, right? So this is my go-to splatter, and you've probably seen me use this stuff quite a few times, but all I do is I pull it out. The actual mechanism here is wet, and I tap it. And I'm just going to create splatter on my project. Now I'm doing everything on black today so that you guys can see. So there is what that one looks like. It does dry back rather light. So I will show you the champagne mist, which I made up the exact same way. I used the heat protectant spray halfway, dropped in about 10 drops of the all-purpose champagne mist ink, and then shook it up and then filled it to about 3/4. So this one is a little bit different of a color. You're not going to notice too much when it's wet, but ooh, we got a good splatter going on there now, don't we? Now I am going to save all of these because I will cut off my words and use them for something somehow. So it's probably difficult to see on camera, but the champagne does dry back a little bit different of a color. So there you have those two. You can probably see in the bottles, I don't know if you can tell on camera, but this one does have a little different hue to it than the actual white. So there's those two. Now, one of the other things that I like to do is I like to spray and get shimmer spray. So I made up a bottle of Stampin Up Frost White all-purpose ink and the rubbing alcohol. Okay, so what I did is I filled this to right about where you see it, almost to full, maybe a quarter of an inch from the top, and I dropped in this 10 drops of this actual stuff here. And what I found is this little cheap dollar store spray bottle sprays nicely, where I hate to say it, but the Stampin Up Spritzers, when you go to spray them, with these mixtures, they just projectile out. And I'll show you that here in a minute. But I'm going to show you this actual spray. And all I'm going to do, now when you spray your paper, you can always spray the back too, and it'll help it from curling. But I'm going to lay that down and give it a second to, actually I'll move it to the side and give it a second to dry. But you can see all of that gorgeous shimmer on there. And that was created just with the all-purpose Frost White ink. So alcohol ink, even though it does smell, I don't like the smell of it, it does dry rather quickly. So does the heat protectant spray, but I don't use this for spraying. I only use it for splattering. And I will show you on the back of the Frost White what the actual spray looks like coming out of that Stampin' Up! Spritzer. So this is the spritzer I used to make this splatter, and I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to show you the spray. So, I mean, even if I push lightly, it just comes out with a force. Now, if you like that, then fantastic. That's the effect that you're going to get. But I like the splatter effect, and I also like the soft shimmer effect. So if you spray it out of the Stampin' Up! Spritzer here, if you splatter it out of the spritzer there, and this is if you spray it out of a different type of bottle mixed with alcohol. Because don't forget, these two here were mixed with the heat protectant spray. So there is one other product that I use, and it's the rich gold powder. Let me wipe this off. And I do get a few people ask me about it. It's this stuff here. I found this at an art store, at a paint store, and it wasn't too expensive. I think it was about 12 bucks, and there's 0.71 ounces in here. But the gold in here, I love this hue of gold, and I thought it's like so strong that if I mix this with my heat protectant spray in a little mister, and I actually am down to about half, and I just mixed this up a few weeks ago. But again, all I do is lift it out and then I tap it down, and the gold that comes out of here is just gorgeous. I love it. It is so strong and rich. I wish Stampin' Up! Carried powders like this, but they don't. I'm not saying this right, Shin Han Art. I heard a girl on an actual painting channel refer to this brand, and I'm guessing she knows more about this stuff than I do, and she said it totally different, so I'm saying it wrong, and I have searched high and low for that video so that I could learn how to say it, and I couldn't find it. But it is rich gold powder, and it is on Amazon. I cannot link it to you because it directly competes with products that Stampin' Up! Carries, so I cannot link this to you, but you can find it on your own. Now, the last thing I'm going to show you is the silver. And I do have, okay, here. Now, we don't have a silver, and there are a lot of times that I want to use silver. So I got some perfect pearls. And I know Stampin' Up! Doesn't carry this, but I'm just going to show you. And this here is mixed with the heat protectant spray. And all I did with this, and this is so easy, I took my take your pick, pulled the end out, flipped it over, and now I've got like a little spatula that's dirty. And I just took out a pretty healthy amount, like probably about that much, and I put 3 of these into the bottle. Now here's the trick. When you put this powder in the bottle, make sure you're at least a quarter full of your heat protectant spray or whatever else you want to use in there. Then put your powder, then shake it all up, okay? I was shaking it while it's open. And then fill to just under a quarter from the top, because that gives your powder room to move around. If you fill it too much, the powder's not going to move. So I'm going to show you the silver. And honestly, I don't really use this much anymore because it's really not that much different from the Frost White. I mean, let me pull these up here so you can see. But here's the Frost White, and my paper's really crinkly. This is just cheap scrap paper. I don't even know where I got it. It's not Stampin' Up. It's in my cheap paper drawer. But I mean, there's really not a lot of difference. So that's probably why you never see me pull this out, because there's really no point when you've got this one, right? So I don't really use it that much. If I could find a silver like this one, and I might have to go looking for one just to get that mirrored shiny silver look, I would love that, but I don't have one right now. So back to here, there's really not a lot of difference that I can tell between splattering with the two, the champagne and the Frost White. So it's basically whichever one you've got on hand, and then you got your silver, and then you've got your gold. So as you can see, that gold is just absolutely gorgeous, right? And then we've got our frost white spray with alcohol. And I don't know if the video is going to do it any justice, but the shimmer on here, now the back is kind of yucky because I laid it down on my mat, but it is absolutely gorgeous. So I am going to be using this spray quite a bit in an upcoming tutorial. I will give you a hint. I am going to teach you guys how to get the alcohol effect without using alcohol inks, which is going to be super, super cool. So anyhow, hopefully that answers all your questions about shimmers and sprays and what I use. And save your money. You don't really need the perfect pearls. All you need is the all-purpose inks, and I will link those down below for you. And until I see you again, have fun with mixing your sprays and splatters. Take care.